Howdy everyone. I was recently searching through some old DVDs when I found some lost footage from when I got into the mall reception centre, and it reminded me of a disastrous few days. It all started on a Saturday when Dirge came down to Gippsland from Melbourne. She just had to get away from Melbourne for a bit. I decided to take her exploring. There was one location I wanted to check out and another really cool location that I wanted to show her. The first was a mall reception centre. It was quite a big building, but every window was boarded up and screwed shut. There were a few little exterior buildings that were just left open, so we had a quick look at them, but we didn't want to risk unbolting a window. So we headed off to the Sale Jail, which was such a cool location, and I was keen to show Dirge. I'd driven past it numerous times. It was Flirt who actually said, "Have you seen an abandoned prison?" and brought it to my attention. The standard was to take a photo at the main gate and then go in for an explore. And this is what I plan to do with Dirge. Usually, you just hop over a low section where the bricks have been torn down. But I noticed this time the edge of the wall was knocked down, so we could just walk around. This was going to be easy. Then, as we walked around the corner, well, the photos tell you what's happening. It wasn't the greatest day of exploring, and I think by the end of it, Dirge probably wishes she had stayed in Melbourne. The following Monday, I had a job interview. After the interview, I thought I'd go back and have another look at the reception centre. I parked my car 20 metres up the road from it and walked in through the hole in the fence. I went up to one of the boarded windows and it had been magically unscrewed. I would never do that, so it obviously wasn't me. Yeah, look, I know I sound like I'm lying, but I didn't do it, right? I don't care, I didn't do it. So I got in through the opening and I had a tripod and I was going to set up all these shots. They've got these stairs and all that, and they had a piano and, so I was going to set up the tripod, spend an hour in there and shoot a video. But as you can see with this lost footage, I started recording with it on the tripod, but just carrying it around until I got set up, which I'm kind of glad I did, because that's the only footage I ended up getting. I walked towards the front door, which is all boarded shut. I walked up to see if any of the doors were open, and I heard this clicking sound, and I instantly got that urge, get out of here. And I heard the clicking again, and I looked up, and it was a sensor. I was like, oh, shit. I was thinking, this is this old abandoned building that's about to be demolished. It actually ended up getting demolished just a few months after this day. But that's it. I wasn't shooting any more video. I just went straight back to the hole in the window. And for some reason, I just thought, nah, I'm not going through that hole in the front fence. I walked out the back of the reception centre and there was a hole in the fence that went out to just vacant land. Keeping in mind, I'm wearing a suit and shoes because I've been on a job interview and I'm old enough that, I still dress up for interviews. And then I walked down the laneway beside the reception centre, and just as I got around the corner of the building, I saw two police walking through the yard up to the building with a police divvy sitting in the driveway. They saw me. I had no chance of hiding, so I just didn't break stride. I had a video camera in my hand. I think might have been a GoPro. It was little, but I wasn't recording, and to this day, I just regret not hitting record. One of them literally looked at me and just went, oh yeah, and kept walking towards the building. So I just kept walking around and I went straight past them, straight past the police car. They didn't say a word. They went in towards the middle of the reception centre and they just saw me in a suit and I was a bit older, and they just presumed I had nothing to do with it. They didn't even look at me for more than a split second. I got in my car, drove straight past them. I rang Dirge and I'm like, we are so fucking lucky we didn't go in, because we would have just bummed around. I would have been filming, she would have been looking around. If it wasn't really quiet, we probably wouldn't have heard the clicking. So that in 48 hours of exploring was pretty crap. But in the end, I suppose it was a good result. Didn't get busted, and you take the good with the bad. The bad makes the good stuff even better. Stay well, people. Cheers.